Hello everyone. Today we are going to be talking about human and environment interaction, anthropogenic activities and their impacts on environment. Now, this is the second section in the subsection 10 of UGC NET paper 1. uh, this is a continuation of a series of lectures that I have uploaded before. Now, this is the second part of the subsection 10 of UGC NET paper 1. The first part was Millennium Development Goals and Sustainable Development Goals. A team from Australia has found that 13.2% of the world's oceans only could be classified as wilderness, most in international waters away from human population. What does this mean? It clearly means that wherever humans have not interfered, the wilderness, the forests, the lakes and rivers, and general vegetation that nature has produced has remained untouched. Anthropogenic activities. It means any human activities that affect the environment assertively or passively, means directly or indirectly, are called anthropogenic activities. It's a Greek word. Anthropo means having to do with humanity. Genic means creation. So, what has the human race done when you talk about anthropogenic activities? And what is the effect of anthropogenic activities on nature and ecology and environment? Human race has done, first of all, urbanization. Urbanization means building houses, apartments, roads, building communities, etc. Industrialization means building factories and producing goods, then letting the effluents out into the atmosphere, either gases, toxic gases, or slurry, which into the rivers and all such things. We also do agricultural activities which give us food. And then we have, apart from that, mining, where man has gone deep into the earth to extract certain minerals. Oil extraction, like the crude oil, they go thousands of meters into the under the earth to extract oil and gas. And then the use of pesticides to keep away pests from eating our food. All these have their side effects, we will see. So, the first anthropogenic activity we are dealing with is groundwater abstraction, which means extraction of water from under the ground for different uses. Now, what happens if you do groundwater abstraction? The first thing is the groundwater levels can decline, and the resultant would be rivers and lakes could dry up. The rivers and lakes, as you know, are the sources of fresh drinking water. Next, the groundwater quality can change and the water may become unsuitable for drinking. For example, there are processes where water is extracted, and once they remove the minerals, only 1/3 of the water is drinkable, 2/3 of the water heavy with minerals is let down back into the soil. Land subsidence. Land may subside. You have seen examples of huge landslides that have been happening because of cutting down of hills and mountains, and the stability of the hills and mountains is lost. So, when there are heavy rains, the landslides are seen. Saltwater intrusions. In the coastal areas, especially, If the groundwater is removed and the cavity there that is left by the groundwater is filled up with salt water seeping in, so the quality of the water will become not sweet but salty. Wetlands. Wetlands may degrade. There are wetlands which are useful for many different kind of growing food, etc. And if the water is extracted too much, these wetlands may degrade. Next is groundwater drought. Groundwater drought may occur. Drought means there is no water. So groundwater, if it is declines and reduces, then groundwater may absolutely disappear. Now, groundwater level reduction. Groundwater can be obtained by either drilling for water, digging wells, or by pumping. But when you do over pumping, the groundwater level gets reduced badly. For example, excessive pumping in coastal areas can cause salt water to move inland and upward, resulting in saltwater contamination of the fresh water supply. The amount of groundwater withdrawn in some states in our country for paddy cultivation, as you know, rice requires a lot of water. This causes the rapid depletion of groundwater and is more than the natural recharge rate. See, water gets recharged and it happens at a certain steady rate. But if we extract more than the recharge rate, then there is a gap between the two. The water level of rivers has been decreasing due to the reduction in groundwater base flow in the aquifers. What do you mean by an aquifer? An aquifer is supposedly a rock, and under the rock, fresh water accumulates. Now, this accumulates because of rain and other water sources. But this aquifer is the one which feeds the rivers and the lakes. So, if aquifer water is reduced, then water level will reduce. The groundwater in North India has decreased by 8.8 crore acre per feet, it is said, in the last decade. In arid zones that are heavily farmed and irrigated, groundwater has been falling by more than 20 inches or half meter per year, 0.5 meters per year. This is not a good, it's a foreboding. Effects of groundwater decline. Groundwater level decline can cause the following: difficulty in accessing fresh water for drinking or irrigating crops. We will not be able to access the water, either it is too deep or it is not available. It can cause land subsidence, that is, gradual or sudden sinking of the earth's surface, which damages infrastructure like constructed buildings. It is similar to landslides. Next, because of lack of water, crop yields could decline. Next, wells can run dry and therefore water supply, for drinking water supply, will be endangered. Next, threaten land and fluvial systems, ecosystems. Fluvial systems means ecosystems associated with rivers and streams and the landforms and deposits they create. How the land, the topography is divided into water and land, etc. Fluvial systems consist of rivers and streams. Fluvial system processes are the processes that sculpt the landscape. They have eroding landforms, transporting sediment from rivers, depositing the sediment to create new landforms. All this is because of fluvial systems. Then they can alter the habitat of subterranean animals. When animals, wild animals, or animals which roam about freely, are all dependent upon naturally available water. They do not get water like how we get from the taps, etc. So, when the river dries up, these animals will be forced to migrate, and that is why their habitat will change. Alter the habitat of subterranean animals. Livestock grazing damages and removes plant. Of course, animals need to graze plants. We cut plants for vegetables. But it also damages and removes plants, reducing plant biomass, alters the composition of plant communities. Contaminants like sewage and pesticides can poison animals. Habitat removal, mining and changes in the water table disrupts existing animal and plant systems. Suppose there are, for example, plants called mangroves. They grow where there is in swamps, where there is abundant water. What if the water depletes? Then there's no way. There will be something else growing there, if at all, that requires very little water for subsistence. Floods affect the availability of food, oxygen, communication, and connectivity. You know the problem with floods. When there is waterlogging happening, you cannot have the supply of drinking water, you cannot have supply of electricity, and it often, of course, affects food, oxygen, no communication, and no connectivity because people cannot use their vehicles nor can they walk in waterlogged areas. Climate change, poaching, tourism, wildfires, and geological events, all these are the result of anthropogenic activities. Conservation now, how can we reduce this? Whatever we have talked about, conservation measures, this should be done through legislation and policy by the government, land protection, education and awareness of people, and area based conservations are the solutions for the problems we have stated above. Second one is subsurface mining. To extract minerals located deep under the surface of the earth, minerals valuable like gold, lead, and silver. But is subsurface mining safe? It causes subsidence, where the subsidence means land caving in, the mud caving in, where the land above a mine caves in, mandates huge quantities of water and energy. To do mining, you need a lot of energy to do the drilling, and many times it is water drilling. You have to pump water in it so that the whatever is under, you pump water inside so the other product comes out through the other pipes. It causes water and air pollution, destructive to the environment because chemicals are emitted, and also it is hazardous to miners themselves. Next is vegetation removal. Vegetation removal means clearing unwanted plants, trees, and vegetation from a particular area. Now the question is, unwanted for whom? Because of development, building a house, building an apartment complex, or building a road, a highway road, if the trees are in the place where the highway road has to come, trees have been removed. So, for the person who wants the development, for the people who require development, all of us, those plants which were on the road where the road has to come are unwanted. So, this unwanted is a very unclear concept. Now, to keep communities and commercial properties safe and healthy, many a times some unwanted plants have to be removed to give communication and connectivity to between cities, and for imagine paving the road to the airport so that you can reach in time. Next, to prepare the property for new construction and landscaping, as we already stated this, to benefit the environment and the animals and the humans who live on or near the land for connectivity, communication, reaching fast so you have a highway done, etc. How do we do it? Manually by digging, manually by digging, cutting, moving, etc. Now, sometimes we use herbicides to kill or prevent the growth of certain plants. The plants may die, the herbicides remain. Land clearing displaces native animal habitats. There is an interesting case study where the palm oil, as you know, palm oil is though very unhealthy, is very widely used by many uh, cooking food establishments. So, to have this palm oil, we need to grow palms, and that is why deforestation happens. It is said that because of deforestation, certain animals who breed only in their natural habitat are unable to breed because their natural habitat is destroyed by deforestation. Especially the orangutan monkey is supposed to be declining in numbers because it is unable to breed in new habitats. So, land clearing displaces native animal habitats. It disrupts wildlife food sources, improves property safety, and stabilizes the ecosystem. So, these are some effects and bad effects. Chemical explosions. Now, what is OSHA? Occupational Safety and Health Administration. You can log on to the internet and see differences. So, they have some standard. It defines an explosive as a chemical that causes a sudden, almost instantaneous release of pressure, gas, and heat when subjected to sudden shock, pressure, or high temperatures. What do chemical explosions do? They cause damage to surrounding materials like glassware, windows, people. They generate toxic gases and cause fires. Exposure to chemicals happen. Because of exposure, people can get respiratory irritation or bronchoconstriction. Organ damage such as liver necrosis from inhaling certain chemicals. Depression of the certain nervous system such as from inhaling solvents. And some deformations happen years later. They are called congenital malformations or cancers. If you have seen the side effects or the after effects of the atomic explosions of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, how people are still being born with malformed, this is an example. Sorry state of affairs. Explosion disrupt municipal services such as electricity, water, communication, and transport, same like in floods. Then, infrastructure loading. This is a very sad thing. What happens is we are building buildings, the weight of the building, the land has to take. What will happen when the land cannot take height and the weight of the height of the building anymore? Land degradation happens, flooding, because there is no place for water to go. Water and air pollution and acid rain can happen. Let us talk about dams, which is also an anthropogenic activity. A dam well built, a good dam, has a lot of uses, but a dam wrongly built can increase water pollution, reduce or block sediment flow. See, the sediments that come, the fine mud, is useful for a lot of agricultural purposes. So it can be reduced or it can be blocked. They can jeopardize animal and plant life both inside and outside the river. For aquatic animals that migrate, the wrong dam can hinder their movement and limit their ability to feed and to reproduce, worsening the impact of increasing temperatures and changing flows due to climate change. It is said, this is from the internet, only one third of the world's largest rivers remain free flowing. The others all have dams constructed on them. Roads. Roads are important because it creates connectivity and communication to humanity. But roads divide habitats and migration routes. There is possibility that in areas where a lot of wild animals are there, animal and vehicle collisions can kill the animals. Roads bring pollution because, of course, there is greenhouse gases released because of automobiles, etc. They bring pollution and create a pathway for further destruction. See, whenever you need to reach somewhere, there should be some kind of road. So it is said the harm for forests and all is done near a road, not very far from it. When a previously inaccessible area is carved with roads, illegal loggers, poachers, and prospectors will follow. It is said in the Brazilian Amazon, 95% of deforestation, that is cutting down of trees, takes place within 3.5 miles of a road or of a river that is navigable through boat. Buildings. China has over 50% of the world's tallest buildings, many of which are in sinking cities like Shanghai and Guangzhou. These cities are supposed, you can check on internet or on any website, these cities are supposed to be sinking slowly because of the weight of this building combined with the groundwater extraction needed to build and operate them. This has accelerated the subsidence in many urban areas. Subsidence means sinking. There was a large hole in the road in a place called Zhengzhou caused by subsidence. If you type this into the internet, you will see the pictures they have shown of a big crater on the road in Zhengzhou. With this, I will conclude. I hope I have helped you. Please look at all the details. I have covered everything in the syllabus in this small subsection. I hope that all that I have covered will help you answer the multiple choice questions that can come from this area. I cannot claim to have covered everything. There is always new things cropping up, but I have made a very fair attempt to help you all. God bless. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.